Welcome to Learn to Live Stress-Free. This is Christine Wright with Dr. Robert Wright Jr. of www.stressfreenow.info.
Hi, this is Dr. Bob coming to you today somewhere between Brazil and Uruguay. We are headed down to Montevideo. So we are on a sea day today. So what I want to talk to you about is grief. I've been traveling since mid-November, and just like on some other trips, I've gotten some bad news. And that bad news is that someone I know died, or someone close to me had sent me an email saying that their husband or their mother had died. And so what this is about is you're away, and, what can you do besides send a message of condolence when you're away? Here on the ship, it costs $4.99 a minute to talk on the phone. So that's a lot of money. 10 minutes is $50. So the thing is, this has happened repeatedly, both in 2021, 2022, and 2023. When I've been traveling, I've gotten notes that someone I know or is close to me has died. And even in the case of my father, where I was traveling from Florida to New York, and I was delayed, stuck on the side of the road with a flat tire, and I missed my father's wake. And so the issue is, how do you deal with grief, right? So the first thing about grief is to know is that we each deal with grief differently. It's an individual kind of thing. And so in that way, the grief response, it can be different. I remember being on a cruise, and when I was writing my dissertation, and I was outside at the cigar lounge, and this guy comes up to me and he says, "I always see you writing. What are you writing about?" And I said, "I'm writing about grief. I'm writing about my mother's death when I was 8 years old, 2 weeks after my birthday." And so the conversation changed. And he sat down and he said to me, "What's wrong with me?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, my mother died 2 years ago." Now, mind you, this is a gentleman, he's in his late 60s. He said, "My mother died 2 years ago, and I was the big brother at her bedside when she passed away. And so my siblings were all crying, and I did not cry." He said, "Now this is 2 years later, and I wake up every morning and I'm sobbing." He goes, "What's wrong with me?" And so I said to him, "There's nothing wrong with you." I said, "You're having a delayed grief response." I said, "You were the strong, responsible older brother, and you took care of business at the time, and now the grief has caught up to you. So let it all out. It's okay to cry." So part of the issue is that in American culture, we've been taught that boys don't cry and men have to be tough and all this nonsense. And so the thing is, once I gave him permission that there was nothing wrong with him, that it was okay to cry, even though he was a guy, that it was okay. So when I saw him the next day, he was like, "Oh, I feel so much better." He said, "I thought something was wrong with me." He said, "I thought I was depressed, or I needed to see a shrink." I said, well, there's a reason they call psychiatrists shrinks. So, and not to disparage, but one of the things that I found very interesting is that when I spoke to some people that were psychiatrists, I said, hey, look, I'm looking forward to having some therapeutic conversations with you. And then their friends said, they go, he's a psychiatrist. He doesn't know anything about therapy. They dispense meds. And I was like, oh. So in any event, cutting to the chase, when you are experiencing the death of a close loved one, a beloved pet, etc., remember that what we're talking about is loss. And in our society, we are generally taught about how to get things, how to gain things, how to acquire things, but almost no instruction about how to handle losses. So this is Dr. Bob. I've written a series of articles on regular grieving, complicated grieving, existential grief. So if you go to my website, you can check me out, www.stressfreenow.info. Also have a series of articles on addictionblog.org. If you go to addictionblog.org and and then you type in my name, Robert Wright, you'll see a whole series of articles that I wrote about grief. So in any event, this is Dr. Bob, wishing you well, coming to you on a sea day, someplace between Montevideo and Brazil. I think we were about Balneário, Brazil yesterday. So until next time. And remember, if you like what you hear and see on our Stress Free Now podcast series, please give us a like and subscribe and share. Wishing you well and happy holidays. It's almost Christmas and New Year's Eve. Until next time, be safe and be well.